Greetings, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. My name is Jimmy Good, and joining me this week is my go-to podcast compadre, Mr. Joe Lever. Joe, how's it going, bud?
Pretty good, Jimmy. Just enjoying a nice cold Canada Dry, crisp and refreshing. Perfect for the podcast.
It's perfect for the podcast. That's true because, you know, Joe, we get a little parched when we're talking about all these movies, these games, these TV shows. And although you prefer Canada Dry, Joe, I gotta say, I prefer something a little more organic. Yes, that's right. A little something different than what Joe likes to drink.
Gosh, I hope that's not warm. I hope that's not warm.
It's delicious. Yes. I love this stuff, by the way. We're not sponsored by either Canada Dry or Naked Juice, but seriously, this stuff's so good. My sister got this for me as a gift, and I was like, try not to drink it all in one sitting.
Those things are good, but they're so expensive.
They
That was
are.
a big one, too. That was probably like $20.
Well, you know, Joe, it's for my health, and I need it. Because this is the only healthy thing I consume.
You don't want to be like a pirate and get scurvy, you know? You got to have your fruits.
I don't want scurvy. I don't think it's good. That's why I'm constantly drinking fruit. I'm like,
scurvy. I wonder if anybody... I wonder if people get that in today's day and age from like lack of vegetables and fruit in their diet.
I think so. I think it does still happen. But then again, I only say that
Doctor
because...
walks in, Arr, I regret to inform you, you've got scurvy.
I'd like it better if he gave someone like the black spot on like a piece of paper, and they like looked at it and they're like, what does this mean? It's like the black spot. And you're like, yeah, no, it's just you have scurvy, so you should probably get some.
What are the ingredients in that bottle, Jimmy?
Oh, you want
these in there?
Let's see. On this one, we have
and how many?
Mango, apple. Sorry, here we go. We do not have any. There aren't any vegetables in this one. We have 5 mangoes, 2.5 oranges, 7 1/3 apples, 1 3/4 of bananas, and a hint of lemon. And I've heard like things in the past where they like people said like oh, like, you know, I don't know if people are getting sick off this or there's something against this where people are saying it wasn't completely organic, but I don't know. It's it seems like it is that way, and it's also Rainforest Alliance certified, which I also like. I just really love this stuff.
Yeah, good on them. I like Rainforest.
Yeah, and they recycle a bunch of, I think, their bottles and stuff too. It just really, it's really good. 100% juice smoothie. I love it so much. Also, I like Green Machine. I was like, people ask me,
Do you
like,
really?
yeah, people say they're like, oh, that looks disgusting. It is delicious. I am not kidding. Like, Green Machine is so freaking good. It's
not
so
bad.
Oh man, I love it.
My favorite is the blueberry or the I like the mixed berry one, the one with raspberries, blackberries, strawberries.
I know it like, so I think is it like Blue Machine, and then I don't know that one. I know there's a Red Machine,
yeah,
and some other things, but the Green Machine.
There's the berry. The berry one is different, but yeah,
I like them all. I really do. I really just like.
How can you not? I mean, it's like the best form of, you know. Thing I'm not a big fan of, Jimmy. Every now and again, I enjoy a good banana, but it's got to have a little bit of green to it. It can't be too ripe. If it's got brown on it, I'm turned off right away. I like them to be a little firm and have that fruity, almost citrus is the wrong term, but that little bit of a sour tinge to it. I like that.
In a banana?
Yeah, I like it to be a little green, like, you know, like two-thirds yellow, a third green.
Yeah. I think they're just kind of bland.
There's a fruitier taste to it, you know.
Okay.
I don't like it to be mushy and like pudding in your mouth, you know. But I don't like if somebody makes me a smoothie, not big on the banana in there. So I just realized as I'm spouting all this off, we are totally going off the rails into like a cooking show.
That's okay. Well, you know, I said at the beginning, we have to stay hydrated for all these games and movies and TV shows we're talking about. And you know, podcasting takes a lot out of it.
Real Canada ginger made in Texas.
Is that really? Is that what it says?
It is. It's out of Texas. It's the 7-Up company, I think. Or yeah, Dr. Pepper. It's made in Plano, Texas, under the authority of Dr. Pepper and 7-Up Incorporated.
I guess they're different enough, but I would think that's like 7-Up's making its own competition. It's almost like 7-Up making its own, like, kind of a Sprite, but more of like a ginger-based Sprite, and they're just like...
Oh, yeah, man, ginger ale is a totally different animal. Not to mention, you know what ginger ale is mostly used for? You know it. It's a mixer. You know,
Oh, sure. I don't know. I'm not into all that type of thing. I'm straight edge,
whiskey
baby.
ginger. Yeah, I prefer it plain. Good stuff. Anywho, you
Yep.
read any good cookbooks lately?
No, but I do have some news for you, Joe. I want to get into news before we get into the meat of this show. First off, I wanted you to
News.
know that Henry Cavill has been in the news, our good old boy Superman. So believe it or not, Joe, there's been a little bit of a conflict regarding his mustache. Now, apparently, Henry Cavill is playing the villain in Mission Impossible 6.
Hold on, pause. Did you just say mustache?
Yes, Joe. Just wait for it. So, he has a mustache in Mission Impossible 6. And Paramount Pictures is making that film, if I'm not mistaken. Now, he's been doing a bunch of reshoots for the Justice League that everybody knows about. Apparently, there's like $25 million worth of reshoots. I don't know if that's...
Wow.
It seems high to me, but I don't know. Anyway...
What's the overall budget, I wonder?
I don't know. Well, that's going to be added in. Either way, Paramount was throwing kind of a hissy fit, I guess, about this. Maybe that's the wrong term. But they were fighting with Warner Brothers, and they said, hey, you can't shave off that mustache for Superman because we need him to have that mustache as the villain in Mission Impossible 6. And they're like, yeah, right. What? So now, Joe, they have to digitally remove the mustache from Superman in the reshoots. Now, if you're wondering, you're like, Jimmy, that probably doesn't take that long to do. I'm going to give you just a little bit of something from one of the guys behind the scenes. He said this. So basically, if they have to remove a beard or mustache, they need to build a 3D model of the face, then shade the surface of the skin to look realistic. We would then need to track the 3D model to the movement of his head and potentially reanimate his mouth. The amount of lip animation would depend on how much of the original beard occluded his lips. We would need to paint out the parts of the beard that extend beyond his shaven face.
I'm sorry. I think Paramount needs to be the one to give in here.
Yeah, it seems really weird. There was oh, this is the other thing I want to say too. So for a 1-minute clip of Superman, you know, of just doing that, it would take about 6 weeks to edit out a mustache. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, for a minute-long film clip. Wow.
Yeah, and you know,
that's like when they talk about trying to make a transformer transform from a car. It takes them like 6 months. You know?
Yeah, and that's you know, inorganic material, and people aren't like looking at the metal and saying like that doesn't look like realistic, even though sometimes it doesn't. But like this, people are going to be staring at his lip, going like, is that his real lip, or is that an animated lip? Either way, kind of a funny thing. But it sounds like Cavill's having a good time with this, and it's pretty good. He sent out this tweet, Joe, saying this: "There's been no discussion over whether to shave or not to shave for the JL reshoots. Simply a relentless campaign to put an end to the seemingly inexorable conquest of this despotic stash. It is not a question of if I should shave. It is a question of how we can possibly be victorious against such a beast without bringing our own doom raining down upon us." So at the very least, he's having a good time.
Superman shows up at the end of the Justice League movie, and he's standing there in a black suit with a mustache. I'm gonna lose my shit.
No, he's not. Why do you have it? It looks so weird. I just thought it's kind of funny. It's just one of those things that I like. I think the bigger story is that we take these little moments, and Star Wars, there's a lot of this kind of going around with this too, but you take these little details, which in the past would probably not be non-stories. We would never hear about this. But now that we need to know and have all this information all the time, it's like we blow it out of proportion and we say like, oh my gosh, like this is such a big deal. Why can't these two figure it out? Does he have a mustache? Does he not? So it's just, I think it's kind of stupid, but I wanted to talk about it because I know you love him so much. I'm sure he looks good, you know, with facial hair. It just,
I think it's stupid that, you know, they're forcing Warner Brothers to pump money and resources into fixing something so ridiculous.
I think the only reason I understand it is because I wonder if he's in shooting for that right now for Mission Impossible 6, and they're like, hey, you know, we can't have Cavill on set today. He has to apparently go do some reshoots, and they're like, no, he said he was going to be here for this. And they're like, yeah, but he has to go and he's got to shave for it. And they'd be like, no, like we can't have him we can't reshoot all the villain scenes without him. Like he just decided to shave today, which That would, I guess it would be simpler in Mission Impossible to just like, I would think to redo that because you don't like your villain. We don't know the villain in Mission Impossible 6. Like it's not like a person we all know. Superman's someone we all know, and we can't. We've seen him with a beard like in Man of Steel, but it would be weird if he showed up and he's just like has like a weird little mustache and he's like, "I've returned." And they're like, "What? Like, why?" So yeah, it just seems kind of dumb, but there we go. Just wanted to comment on it for a second. Anyway, Joe, do you have any other thoughts on that? Do you even care about this? I just wanted to know because you're the world's biggest Superman fan, and it's something that I need to know your thoughts on.
Like I said, Superman shows up at the end, black suit, mustache. I'm all over it. No, well, they got to stay true to the Superman character, right? They can't get rid of that mustache.
I was like, he's always had a mustache, right? Like Tom Welling had a mustache. I swear he had a mustache.
They cannot on him. It would be wrong. However, I just feel like, I don't know. How do you work that out? You're doing 2 movies. One you think you're kind of done with by this time, so it works out in the schedule. And then you end up, we got to do reshoots.
Sure.
You can't plan for that. It's like an unforeseen condition. So contract-wise, is he, I just wonder how that works. I think it's interesting. But mustache on Superman, not cool. Not cool. How does he even shave to begin with? I assume when he cuts his hair, he like rips it or something. Or could he even do that? I don't know.
I was thinking about that too for Man of Steel. It's like I think in the context of this world, it's just not a problem. And maybe they would say his hair isn't like invulnerable or something. But then again, like explosions happen. So like you think he gets like his eyebrows would be singed and he's like, oh.
No,
like,
I literally think that he like does a meticulously like splits each hair.
But how about his beard? He had that beard, remember when he saved the oil workers on the oil rig? He's got that big beard and he's like shirtless. Like how did he get rid of that? Did he like pluck them all out one day? He's like, no more hair. He did it really fast. He's like, it's done. I'm not sure. It's okay. These are the questions.
Yeah, it's something else. Hey, something that's interesting as far as the actual filming of it goes and like the realism. In Smallville, he was not allowed to tan. He was not allowed to grow facial hair. He was not allowed to cut his hair. That's why it was always the same throughout, unless it was like he disappeared into like some weird scenario between seasons. And cool. When they brought him back on the first episode, it was a little longer, but it always maintained. They always brought it back to the same hairstyle. And he was never able to change skin tone with the tan or any of that. It was always, you're Superman. This is how you got to look.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I'm sure there's tons of requirements for things like that. Like you have to avoid certain things to fit the character's role. So.
That's a good point. I'd be interested to know what, I just want to call him Steve Rogers, but that's not his name. Chris Evans has to, if they're like, you need to be like you can't tan, like ever. Yeah. Like you are the white in the red, white, and blue of your outfit. Like there's some white in there, but you are the white part. Like, what I mean?
You cannot eat refined sugar at all.
He like picks up just like a little sugar packet and then just Mickey's hand comes out. I was like, oh, he's like, put it down, Chris. He's like, all right. Okay. Like, sorry, Mick. Don't let it happen again. Yeah. I love it. I love you, Mick. I love you, Chris. Both fans of the show. Thanks, guys, for watching. Anyway, Joe, Ant-Man and the Wasp has started filming, and there's a little synopsis and some other information that we got this week. I just want to throw it your way here. So here's a synopsis of the film. Minor spoilers for Civil War, Captain America Civil War, if you're worried about like Ant-Man and you're like really concerned. Anyway, in the aftermath of Captain America Civil War, Scott Lang, Paul Rudd, grapples with the consequences of his choices as both a superhero and a father. As he struggles to rebalance his home life with his responsibilities as Ant-Man, he's confronted by Hope Van Dyne, Evangeline Lilly, and Dr. Hank Pym, Michael Douglas, with an urgent new mission. Scott must once again put on the suit and learn to fight alongside the Wasp as the team works together to uncover secrets from their past. This tells me a few things, Joe. First off, obviously he gets out of prison, which he was in at the end of Captain America Civil War. And second off, it doesn't really seem like he's going to be, I don't know if he's been confirmed or not for Infinity War, but this seems like just a completely standalone, like, you have a new mission. Go do the mission. Like it doesn't seem like it's going to be a crazy, huge ordeal. It might end up being that, But right now, it seems like it's playing more so into, like they said, the past, which the announcement of 2 characters. So the original Wasp, Michael Douglas's, or I should say Hank Pym's wife, not Michael Douglas' wife, but Hank Pym's wife, will be played by Michelle Pfeiffer. And this like assistant at one time, who is name, let's see, what's his name? His actual superhero name is Goliath, but
like the one from Evolve.
Yes, it's just like that one. Bill Foster being played by the one and only Lawrence Fishburne, which people might remember as Morpheus from The Matrix, which to me is really cool. Like
Wow.
2 other really good actors. Again, like Marvel's really doing a good job kind of bringing these people in. And if you're like me, I didn't know who Goliath was at all. So like I said, he was an assistant to Hank Pym, and he kind of had his own version of the Pym particles. And here's a little kind of rundown that I picked up on like what his powers are. He can grow up to 25 feet tall. His strength grows proportionally to his size, so he can kind of move like 7 tons worth of stuff pretty easily. The only downside is that if he does that, like grows and gets huge like all the time, it really tuckers him out. Kind of look at like what happened to Ant-Man. Again, Civil War spoiler in Civil War, once he grew up and he got that, he's like, does anybody have any like orange slices or something like that? So really, it's very physically exhausting. But Joe, I just kind of wanted your take on just like that and just the announcement of Lawrence Fishburne. Are you excited about this at all? Kind of bringing in a character whose kind of main powers to be like, I'm just the tall guy. Like, I'm the big guy. I just wanted your thoughts.
Yeah, but with that comes the amazing strength and stuff, which is cool. But yeah, I don't know. It sounds appealing. And again, I have to echo your sentiment about them bringing on the right actors and actresses to play these roles. I think their casting is just stellar. So that gets me excited for one. Can't go wrong there. But yeah, I apologize. I kind of got lost in your intro to this thing. It's
That's
a
fine.
New film.
Yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's just that we talked about that. Remember, we looked at the pictures.
Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought I heard. My mind was still stuck on Chris Evans.
Well, Chris,
I thought you said something about Captain America being in there, and I was like, oh,
Chris Evans, he's that type of guy. You just start thinking about him, and you can't think about anything else. I get that. I'm right there with you, man. I was watching Spider-Man: Homecoming. I'm like, there he is.
No, but Ant-Man never really was a big standout to me. It didn't really. I mean, it was cool, and I like his name escapes me right now. But I think he was a good choice to cast in that role.
Oh, Paul Rudd.
Yeah. He's very fitting for that.
Perfect. Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, and sometimes he's got that very dry humor. I don't know if dry humor is the right word, but it's very like he's too cool, doesn't care, but he's funny.
Sure. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's true.
Not all the time. Slices moment, but from Civil War. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, this could be cool, and I like them bringing new characters on board. I think that's neat. This Goliath does sound interesting. So
yeah,
I'm excited. I'm excited to see more content so we can visually, look at this thing. So.
I forget when they said it's actually coming out, but I wouldn't be surprised to see something next spring. Potentially, maybe around the time they start, like at Infinity War, like you go see that and they're like, hey, like, I think it is coming out in July of next year. So maybe, I don't know if that might be too soon. I could be wrong about this. I will fact check this, but it's interesting. I also don't know if they're going to do like if Michelle Pfeiffer's character, the Wasp, is going to be flashbacks, or they're going to be the modern day and they're going to pull her out of like the microverse where she got caught a long time ago. She might still be there. I would think they'd probably do that because if they do flashbacks with Michelle Pfeiffer, they're going to have to do the de-aging effect to both her and Michael Douglas. And that stuff, while getting very close and can look all right, it's also very expensive. We talked about doing just a mustache. Take a 60, 70-year-old, even 50-year-old actor and make them 25 or 30. That can be a lot. So I don't know. It's interesting though, and I'm excited to see what they do with this one because I really like the first one. It's fun. It's pretty easygoing. It kind of plays fast and loose with some of its own rules a little bit here and there, but I think it has a lot of potential to grow, as it were. Sorry, I hate myself. All right, I'm gonna start. If I make bad jokes, Joe, I'm taking a big chug of this. All right, so I'm just gonna. I have to do that now.
Do it.
That wasn't big, but it's enough. Anyway, Joe. Speaking of Joes, Joe Manganiello. Somebody who's not been on my radar much until they announced that he was going to be Deathstroke in the standalone Batman film a while ago. Now, Joe has been sitting around. He's been waiting because he wasn't sure after they got Matt Reeves as the director because Ben Affleck stepped down and he's just going to be, just Batman. Wasn't sure what was going to go on. Wasn't sure if Deathstroke's still going to be in it. He was pressed on this recently, and he said, this is his quote, I don't have basically any information. He said, well, I do, but nothing that I can share. I know everything, but I can't say any of it. And then he went on to say, it's not up to me. That's a good question for Warner Brothers and DC. So the thought here is, Joe, that if he wasn't going to be in it at all, that if Deathstroke was completely out, that he would be able to probably just say, yep, like, I'm out. I can't, talk about it. Because why would Warner Brothers send him a message and say, like, yeah, Deathstroke's out, but you got to tell people that you're not sure if you're still in this movie or not. That would be very strange to do. And for like the 5 Deathstroke fans that exist, I'm sure there are more, but I'm one of them. It's kind of like, why would you do this? So I'm thinking, at the very least, Joe, there's going to be some Deathstroke in there. We already have assets built for him. We saw that kind of CG thing a while ago that Ben Affleck was showing like off a monitor of Deathstroke. But there's still a chance, which is really good. And I'm excited about it. But are you excited about it as a fellow Joe?
Yeah, I think Deathstroke's a cool. What?
I said as a fellow Joe because he's Joe Manganiello and you're Joe.
I know. Yeah. Do you know he's married to Sofia Vergara or whatever from Modern Family?
Oh, maybe I did know that. Wow, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right. Good for them.
6'5". He's 6'5". He's a whole inch taller than me.
Still, he's a big guy.
I've been looking up at him slightly. At first, I'm like 6'5". Damn, Joe, you're 6'4". Oh. Anywho, yeah, he is a big guy. I think he'd be a perfect Deathstroke, and I hope they bring him to the big screen because I think you joke and you're like for the 5 Deathstroke characters out there, I think it numerously exceeds that. I think exponentially exceeds that. I think he's a cool character, and from a villain perspective, or if you're looking at the group of villains to offer from that DC universe, I think he's a standout. He's just really cool, and they portrayed him in cool ways in the past. Maybe not totally preferred, but Arrow, he was in there, which was pretty cool. And he was even in Smallville, but nowhere near the magnitude we want.
Oh yeah, he was like the Colonel or whatever, right? Or he was like
it was almost like an older version of him. They didn't really portray him in the right light.
Well,
kind of weird.
Technically, he's usually an older guy, and that's totally cool. But in that show, it was more like he was a general that became like usually Deathstroke. The one I know is more of like he's not usually like behind a desk and then becomes Deathstroke. He's like an old guy, but he's like, yeah, I'm freaking, let's go. Like, I'm
well, in Smallville, he was in this, box truck communications thing with a missile that could shoot out the top, and they were like,
yeah,
weird.
Hurts my heart. I'm just hoping. The one thing I want, Joe, is that you talked about him being in the Arrow. Apparently, he's going to be back in the next season of Arrow as kind of a big deal. I don't know if he's going to. They kind of made him an anti-hero at the end of the last season. Sorry, Arrow spoilers.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good thing. The only problem I have, we talked about this too, his outfit looks a little chintzy, and they don't really ramp him up as much as I think they could in that show. He's a good villain for the Arrow, but like
more untapped potential there for sure.
Yeah, and they don't really ever get into the whole like I've thought like 10 steps ahead of you. In the season like 2 or 3 when he was the main villain, he kind of had that, but like the rest of the time now, he kind of will go toe to toe with people, and it's like he does pretty well. But really, like he should be spanking these people. Like it should not be a problem. Like he's just like
spank.
Yes. Yep. You heard me. He just like flips him around. He hits him in the back of the sword. He's like, and then he stabs him. So it's just a lot of insult right before he runs him through. But my hope is that he's still into Batman, even if it's smaller, because I just think now they're taking it seriously. I think Matt Reeves is a good director. I don't think if they put him in there, it would be a bad thing. It would get him more exposure, I think more people would say like, who's that guy? And they'd be like, well, he looks kind of like maybe like that Deadpool guy. And then I would die a little bit inside. And then I would hope that maybe one day he would kind of not necessarily get his own film. I mean, that's what I would wish for. But I just want people to recognize this cool, really interesting character that can go from Arrow to Batman to even like a Justice League type of situation and kind of fit in all those roles and be a complete cool badass while doing it. Like he's just
sometimes I wonder, you know, he's probably a better fit for the Batman film in the direction that the DCEU is going.
DCEU extended universe. But you had it right the first time. Yeah, it's still like
sorry, the extended. I forgot the extended. Anywho, the direction that these films are going, they're much more action-y. They're not like the Dark Knight, or not, is it trilogy?
Yeah, the Dark Knight trilogy,
yeah. So it's not like that in a sense where sometimes in those Dark Knight movies it was less Batman action kicking butt. It was a little more thoughtful, required you to think, almost a bit more suspense and mystery.
Yes.
Than it was an all ginger ale burp. It wasn't, as opposed to being more of an action thriller where it's just constant, you know, awe, I guess you would say. It's not as fluffed and jam-packed. But and I'm saying all this because I'm thinking about the Joker, Jimmy. Suicide Squad, we all know, kind of fell flat for a lot of people. It was hyped up pretty well, and then it fell flat. The Joker in there, Jared Leto, I think, excellent Joker. It could be really cool, but
yeah,
I think the Joker as a character is more suited to a film style, that of the Dark Knight series. Whereas the DCEU seems to be a little bit more larger scale. You know, for instance, they've factored in Doomsday. They're going for these big heavy hitters. The Joker on the same scale is freaking Steppenwolf and Doomsday? No.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, I just don't know that there's a place for him in the future. You know, the biggest things you have to contend with him are, oh, did he plant a bomb here? Did he steal this? Or are his goons doing this? You know what I mean? So I just don't see him as such a big player that he should be utilized a lot. But I also wonder what you know, spin out of control and go off the rails, but what do they hope to do with the Joker as a character moving forward?
I don't know. I mean, they just called like a few minutes before we started the podcast, and they're like, Jerry, we don't know what to do. Should we get somebody else? Is Jared still a good choice? And I'm like, guys, everybody calm down. I was on a speakerphone in like their conference room. No, I don't know. That's a good question. I think the problem that you really face with somebody like the Joker is everyone will always compare it back to Heath Ledger. And I think in the Dark Knight, in the confines of that, like you said, that's a perfect villain because he's not like so over the top that Batman is just kind of like in that world. He can deal with him. The Batman we have now, as seen in Batman vs Superman, and then we're going to see him up here in Justice League, this Batman is a bit different. He's like, he'll go into a room and take out 20 guys with like explosives and all this stuff, whereas like Batman Dark Knight could take on like 4 or 5 dudes like close combat, but it was kind of like weirdly shot, and you never felt like he was like the best fighter. Like it was just like, he's not as aggressive as this Ben Affleck Batman, who's just like also killing people, but he can really mess up a bunch of people. If it's like Joker in a room with 4, maybe even 15 other guys, it wouldn't matter to him. He would take them all out in like, 20 seconds. But you're right with the Joker. I think what they're going to do is he will still be a presence potentially in things like Gotham City Sirens or maybe the next Suicide Squad. But I just don't know if you make him your main villain for Batman. I just don't know if you do. I think you made a good point. And Batman being transitioned out of just being like the Dark Knight Rises version or Dark Knight version where he's just like a regular man in a suit. This Batman is a little bit more than that, obviously. So you have to have him go up against other criminals, like they just use Bane, unfortunately, but Bane would have been a really good choice. But Deathstroke is also another really good choice. Do you maybe bring back Mr. Freeze, and make him not campy, like make him like really terrifying. Like he's not, you can barely see his face when he puts the mask on, just like the red eyes, and he's just blowing people away. You're like, whoa, my gosh, like Batman, fight this guy, and you're like, it's hard.
If they bring him back, I hope they do. I hope I said do. I hope they do. I hope they do a really good job of fleshing him out.
Yes.
The design aspect to Mr. Freeze is, if you're going to bring him back, I don't want Arnold Schwarzenegger walking around with blue skin.
They wouldn't do it. And I'm sure it would look good. Just do the Arkham City version. That one is so cool, for lack of a better term. Oh, yeah, dang it, Joe. I made a bad joke. Anyway, he's really interesting. And the thing that they didn't really play off of too much, they tried to, but it's too campy. But with the Arnold Schwarzenegger version, the biggest thing about Mr. Freeze, about his character, about his motivations, is that his wife is, frozen, and she has this horrible disease, and he's trying to cure her. Like, they need to make that the focal point. Kind of like a Spider-Man 2 situation. It's like a science experiment you want to see through to the end, where like Otto, lost his wife and then tried to make that solar generator, and like Spidey was just getting in the way of him getting to that. So like, if you have Mr. Freeze say, I need to get this equipment, I need this money to do this, and I have to do it fast because I want to save my wife, and Batman says like, no, man, I'm not going to let you just go around killing people and get whatever you want. Like, brings that to a head a little bit more easily than just having someone like, again, the Joker, where it's kind of, his motivations are boring to me. It's just like, I just want to watch the world burn. I like blowing stuff up. It's like, all right, you don't know how to, there's not a really good way to stop that kind of chaos. But with like a thoughtful character like him, Mr. Freeze, or a Deathstroke with someone pulling the strings saying like, hey, Deathstroke, like, I'm going to pay you like $1 million, well, I mean, $20 million or $50 million to kill Batman. And Deathstroke's like, sweet, I need the money. And, that's all he needs. Like, Deathstroke's just like, I really do need the money. Like, this is my job. So I would like to see that. Yeah. I'm hopeful though. Bane would have been another good one. Well, man, a DCEU Bane, Joe. That might be pretty sweet. He might be pretty cool. And they play into more of the Venom like they did in like the older ones, but like it would be probably interesting. He wouldn't just be a guy with like a face mask. It'd be like a lot more. I don't know. I'm trying to think of other good villains for that. Or you could eventually maybe do like a Scarecrow and go really nuts. Like, they did that in Batman Begins, but I'm thinking like Scarecrow from Injustice 2, where like he gasses you and he turns into like this creepy monster, and you're like, how do I fight that guy? He's like whipping a chain at you. Yeah. Sure. I'd like to see that, but yeah, I'm hopeful. I just hope Deathstroke's still in it, even if it's just a little bit, because people would they might latch on to him, his design, his character, all that stuff. So yeah,
for sure.
I'm a hopeful guy. Sure. Joe, that's all of our news for this week. And now we get into the meat of the podcast. Today's topic. What?
The meat and potatoes?
Yes. We had a question here from Anna, one of our captains over on Twitch. And she says, what movie, or any movie or game or show, do you think that should be completely remade? #Critical Podcast. That got me thinking, Joe. I was like, I don't want to just answer this as just like a quick question where I say a few things. I want to get into this a little bit. Joe,
movie, game, or show?
Yeah.
Movie, game, or show?
Yeah, I forgot. I told you at the beginning it was movie, game, or show. I just told a movie. I was just like, it's just movies. But if you want to do games and shows too, but you got to tell me how you'd redo it. Is there one that came to mind right away? Is there one where you're like,
Yeah, so I got a couple in mind.
Let's go back and forth. You go first.
Two different categories. So first, I'm going to keep it simple. Smallville. I want it rebooted.
No, it has to be completely remade, Joe. It's wiped off the table and you remake it. You don't even talk about the old Smallville.
No.
Reboot it. Tom Welling's back and he's got gray or salt and pepper hair. He's like, Mom, like, we're out of milk. She's like, don't drink it out of the fridge like that, Clark. And he's like, I'm sorry, gotta get to school. Like,
whoosh.
40-year-old man. He's like, I gotta get to work.
All right, you go ahead and take the first one then, if that one's off the table.
All right. I mentioned this before we started because Joe and I wanted to make sure we didn't have the same ones, but Ghost Rider. I really want them to remake Ghost Rider. Now, if anybody's seen the first Ghost Rider or Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, you'll probably say, hey, yeah, those weren't like the greatest films. I'd probably say the first one's a little bit better than the second one. there are some good things in both of them, mostly just Ghost Rider himself, not necessarily Nick Cage or the storyline, but Ghost Rider has a lot of potential. We probably talked about him a few times here on the show, but he would be really a good fit for where Marvel's going, because they're going into both the cosmic and the supernatural. He's shown up now on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. There's like various incarnations of Ghost Rider, but I'm not talking about Robbie Reyes, like the new one they made for that show. I'm talking about Johnny Blaze, who actually I think makes an appearance on that show. The character, this is spoilers for the most recent season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's like season 5, but he gets thrown from a car, and like he's with his brother. And these gang members try to shoot him, and he flies out of the car. His brother gets paralyzed from like the waist down, and he's basically dead. Robbie dies, and then this guy pulls up on a motorcycle, and it's the Ghost Rider, like Johnny Blaze, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to like have like a second life and the spirit of vengeance that you can have yourself?" And he's like, "Yes." So he gets his own different type of he's a different type of Ghost Rider. He's got like a Charger or Challenger that he drives. But I'm talking Johnny Blaze. I'm talking like you do the story again. Maybe make it kind of quick, but he makes a deal with the devil to save his father from cancer, and they both happen to be I don't know if you keep the circus performing aspect of it, where they were kind of both like stunt drivers, or his dad was in the circus, and then he gets hurt and then dies that way. So he like the cancer's gone, but then he dies anyway, and that's kind of the deal with the devil. And then the devil kind of tells Ghost Rider to go around and kill all these people, basically collect on some debts. But I just think Ghost Rider would be really cool, not only as just a visually stunning character. I always think of how fantastic he looks. He's like the cover of like a Metallica album or something. It's just like this cool, like flaming skeleton on a motorcycle. He's got like a chain wrapped around him. He's like he doesn't stop. He's kind of like a Terminator type of like, he sees evil and he's like, I don't care if you're Thanos or just some guy trying to mug a person on the street. He's like, you will be judged.
Ghost Rider versus Thanos.
He can take a few hits. Actually, Ghost Rider is incredible. We've talked about this. Like, he's incredibly durable. Like, he's insanely durable. He's so
devil's right hand man.
Well, kind of, but then he denounces him. But anyway, yeah, he's great, and I just really think that he would be a good fit. I think he would work really well if you're doing a lot of buddy movies, kind of going forward. Like, you're seeing Thor and Hulk and stuff like that, and we're seeing like kind of not necessarily a buddy movie, but Cap and Iron Man and Civil War. You take these, not just the one character, but you put another character in there. So you have Doctor Strange, I think is perfect, and then Ghost Rider. You maybe make him a pseudo kind of villain, for the first half of the next Doctor Strange or whatever, and then they end up teaming up and then working together because they both have similar goals. They want to take out evil in the world, and their knowledge could be shared between the two. And they fought in the past, and it's kind of interesting how they meet up and stuff like that. But I think that duo would be really, really strong. And I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, I know who Johnny Blaze should be. I think you cast somebody that we've never heard of before and just do your best to keep Ghost Rider on screen as much as possible. I know it's expensive, but when you watch a Ghost Rider movie, the last thing, honestly, you really want to see a lot of is Johnny Blaze. Like, I don't want to stare at Johnny Blaze. Oh, he's got problems with his girlfriend and all this stuff. It's like, I want to see the Ghost Rider. Like, I want him to be like almost all night shots, like just him always on. Like, if he's like not Ghost Rider, I don't need to see him that much. I've already seen plenty of that. I don't really care about Johnny Blaze's life. Like, after his dad, I'm like,
well, no, or if something happens in between it throughout the film, and he is human form, I want him. I want the filmmakers or director to use his ability to become the Ghost Rider in a cool way.
Yeah,
I want it to be something shocking, and like the people that are in that situation, if he's like being held in a room or something. I think this is kind of similar to something that happened in the show. What's the freaking show? Oh, why am I forgetting the name of that show?
I'll help you. Help me out here. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Series, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah. So, oh man, I just tipped over a chair. Anywho.
Not a Netflix series, by the way. It's just on Netflix. Just everybody, they're like, is that a Netflix original? It's not. Just ABC.
No, it's ABC.
A lot of money. The budget.
Disney. We all know Disney owns that. Anywho.
Yes. Ghost Rider in the theme parks. Give me a Ghost Rider ride. That'd be great.
Yeah. Where was I going with that? No, yeah, I want him to use it in like a cool light. Like if he's being held captive or something, I want it to be like a shocking, and it's just an explosion of intensity, and he becomes a Ghost Rider, and there's a sense of calm, like don't worry, he's held in there, but then he busts out, and I think that's kind of more directly from the show. But that moment, I caught that clip somewhere, and I just think that that was a cool way to show him off.
I know they did that. Yeah, in the first movie they do that, Joe. They take him to prison, and he's like, I can't be in here. I can't be in here right now. And like everybody's like yelling at him, and he's like freaking out. And then he goes into like a mass containment area, and these guys all start beating on him. And then he does that, melts his way through the bars, looks back at a young boy, and he points at him, and he goes, "Innocent." Like, we need more of that, where he does the point and says guilty, like that, like just one word, like is so impactful, and you're like, oh wow, like that's really cool.
See, here's the thing about him, and he's flat out badass, and I think part of the thing that establishes that with him is there's not a lot of dialogue, but the dialogue that he does have, like the innocent, the guilty, and the way he expresses it is it's perfect. It just only boosts up that coolness factor. So it's appropriate that he doesn't have a lot of dialogue. I don't want him to go into the MCU and they're doing some big thing and he starts like talking with everybody. I just want him to kind of be that guy off to the side, just kind of staring, and then all of a sudden it becomes like they're getting into it and he just throws a chain in there, you know what I mean? And he just goes ape shit.
Yeah, I think he just has nothing to say, and I think if you wanted him like that, I think that works. Like the only people he might talk to, he maybe talk to Doctor Strange, and he'd say like, "There's a new threat," and he just would say like, "This is what I think it is," kind of quiet about it. And he's like, "Maybe you can use me as Johnny Blaze as the bait to like get pulled in by this cult or whatever this evil thing is," and then they're like, "We've got your assistant, Strange. What are you going to do about that?" And Strange's kind of like, "I'm not really worried about that." And then he just like, they all turn and look at him, and then he just like see the fire in his eyes and like, "Oh no, it's him!" Like, it's like it's too late. Like he's already there, just like crushing people, just burning them alive. Like, oh yeah, baby, that Ghost Rider, there's so much potential, and I really think he's going to show up, Joe. I really hope so. Also, like I've told people in the past, he has this beautiful moment in World War Hulk where he shows up. Well, Hulk is like crushing everybody, and he like talks to Hulk, and he's like, "Yeah, these people, everybody you're fighting, they aren't innocent. They're all guilty of what they did to you, and I don't have a problem with it." And he like just drives off. It's like Ghost Rider's just like, "Not my problem." And I'm like, yes, it's so cool. Like it's so good with the motivations. But that's what I choose as my first like movie, game, or show that I want to be remade or remake. I just think there's a lot of potential. Be very cool. Plus, with the budget behind it, man, you could take him, put him anywhere. Oh, be beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, man.
That was a good one, man. I'm almost a little jealous.
Thank you. I just...
Coming in a little fresh on this, I'm not sure that there's one that really stands out to me, or it's tough to... I kind of thought about this initially when you brought up the idea, and, this question came in over the horn, but I thought Jurassic World.
Why'd you think Jurassic World?
Our most recent Jurassic film. I think mainly because I think to wipe the slate clean.
Okay.
I was fine with the first one, the second one, the third one. Jurassic World, initially, I didn't know how I felt about it. I had to go back and see it the same day, and I felt better about it.
I know. I was there.
Yeah, you were there. Anywho, I don't know how I felt about it the first time. I went back, saw it the second time with a bit more of an open mind. I wasn't looking at it with such a critical eye, and I was like, all right, it was fun, entertaining. I love seeing the dinosaurs, but then I watched it at home a couple times. And the more I watched, the more I was like, they botched this thing so horribly. Horribly.
Do you own it, Joe? I forget.
I do.
Okay. I really...
Jurassic film. I still enjoy seeing the dinosaurs and everything, but the way things unfold and the things that take place, just there's a lot of... I can't do away with my sense of disbelief to that extent.
Sure.
I can't. They're gonna go into that pen even though they can't find it, or they didn't know that it could disguise its heat signature, or I mean, the first thing they should have done was check that to see whether its tracking device was in the pen or not. It's like there was no precaution taken whatsoever. And I understand that shit happens, but that was just ridiculous, you know?
Yeah.
And then I think about, you know, how they tried to take it down and all this other stuff. And it was just ridiculous. I don't care how much the thing costs. What's the park worth, you know?
Yeah.
Build
Yeah. How
that
much of the
freaking thing, you know?
lawsuit's worth, you know? It's like,
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, if that thing gets anywhere near public, it's going to end the park
yeah.
and put you in the hole. Um, yeah, so I just, yeah. So poking those holes, I didn't like the whole almost human interaction between the dinosaurs, like the Velociraptor and the T-Rex, like nodding at each other. I didn't like the run-in from the Velociraptor
I
at
love
the
that
end.
part's so hilarious.
It is. You just laugh because it's just like dun 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 dun, and the raptor just comes running down the freaking pathway. It's like, and you giggle because it's so freaking silly. It's just absolutely silly. And you know, the coolest part from that film, when I look back on it, first of all, I think the park is cool and like the futuristic approach, like this is how a dinosaur park could be. But that's entertaining and all. But the coolest part to me, I love the moment where felt that we need more teeth thing or whatever, but when she releases the T-Rex from its pen and she opens the door and she just has a flare. I love the red eye look from the head, and it's like kind of in the shadows. I thought that was really cool. That one gave me goosebumps a little bit in the theater, but beyond that, the rest of it, blech, you know.
Let me offer a compromise. What if we change Jurassic World? We get rid of the Indominus, and we kind of recreate a little bit of what happened in Jurassic Park. We take B.D. Wong's character, who apparently is like a villain now. He happens to be that one scientist who's the guy who helps engineer all the dinosaurs. Maybe he gets a better offer, like you kind of see, and they say like, hey, you know, we're going to pay you a lot of money to keep doing your research and basically making whatever the heck you want, but you got to kind of hamstring the place you're at now. And then you have a Nedry situation where you have like an unhappy employee or someone who's going to kind of turncoat. And the problem is internal affairs. It's not so much like we're all idiots and we didn't think about this. We should all run in and, you know, like it just.
They make the movie seem silly because they turn everybody into buffoons.
Yeah, it's like a horror film, like immediately. Like everyone's dumb. And you're like, oh, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly. But I like that if they took more of a. You hit the nail on the head. I think it would be really well if it was more of an internal affairs type deal, you know, an agent gone rogue sort of a thing, and things unfolded from there. And he foiled the park's security measures or something of that nature. But yeah, I just yeah, I think if I had to remake it, I'd probably go for a plot line along that, you know, similar to that scenario. And I think that character would be a perfect basis to do it. But beyond that, I'm not sure what I would do. But, you know, I know that I would do away with things like freaking cameras on the Velociraptors and all that bullshit.
You haven't gotten to the part I thought for sure you're going to hit right away is revamping. You and I would revamp all the rides. We change almost every single ride there to
I'm
be.
getting to that, pal. I'm getting to that. I promise you, I will get to that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, the Velociraptor thing, we all know that was a big sticking point for me that I really hated.
Yeah.
And yeah, so essentially, oh crap, I don't mind if they're doing like special research on the Raptors or something, but I don't want him in the pen with them going, I see you, Blue. Stay there. I see you. No. Don't give me any of that bullshit. I don't want him riding a Harley through the woods alongside the Velociraptors. First of all, that Harley, I mean, it's legit and all, but I mean, every tree stump you hit, you're screwed. And they're just freaking flying through the rainforest like it's no big deal. That Chris Pratt, he should start racing motocross or freaking endurocross because he's amazing. You know, if it was some sort of like well-suspended dirt bike, I would believe it a bit more, but that just got a little out of hand. And like, you know, you have all these fans that are around our age, you know, mid 20s, and we reminisce back to that first Jurassic Park, the one that gave us the nightmares after watching it, but we had to watch it the next day. And you knew we would go see it. Why are you gearing this thing towards like 10-year-olds? Maybe to start a new fandom? I don't know, but I gotta feel, I don't know. I'm sure the next Jurassic Park will do insanely well too. I know I'll go see it, but
yeah,
you know,
me too. I'll be reviewing it. I'll be there.
I mean, it's back to the old thing where every child or inner child in our case is obsessed with dinosaurs. When I was a kid, I had every freaking rubber action figure of a dinosaur you could think of. I even had the robot Transformers. You know, I thought they were the coolest thing on earth, and I never took them out of dino form. But anywho, yeah. So then getting to your point, Jimmy, which is a good one. I love the park aesthetics, the design, the futuristic, what it really could be. I mean, there's a freaking Starbucks on the corner. You know, it's like a Disney World animal park.
Yeah.
Animal Kingdom with dinosaurs.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
They took it even further with like a really cool like stadium platform that lowers for underwater viewing with that Mosasaurus and stuff. Really cool. You know, sometimes their scale is a little too off with some of those dinosaurs, but you know, they could have spent a little more time on the CGI with the shark eating thing. But
what scale? What scale was off for you?
Well, I know there was analysis and stuff, and the scale of that dinosaur was a little big.
The Mosasaurus, they made it a little bigger.
Yeah, the underwater one, it was a little bit.
And I'm sure what people would say is they're like, well, they just manipulated it. But you're right. You know, you wouldn't want to go and see like a thing that's like as big as a crocodile, and you're like, well, that's pretty cool. You'd have to have like 40 of them in there to be cool. It's like,
yeah, sure. They're big. I mean, they're almost whale size, I guess, almost. But I think I've seen a skeleton of one. And where the heck was that? There was, Washington, Natural History Museum. I think they had one suspended. Either way, it was super long. I will say that, but it wasn't like, you know, the head was probably about my size, maybe a hair bigger, maybe.
Yeah, I think they just made it like that for the finale, basically. Honestly,
they had to, right?
Yeah, they're just like, how are we gonna wrap this up? And they're like, make that thing like 4 times bigger, and they're like, okay, like roll it over, enhance more. Yeah.
But anywho, so back to the ride thing, the whole stadium seating that lowers the grandstands. That's really cool. And doable. That's plausible, you know, big hydraulic platform, so to speak. But then you go to the freaking kayaks on the freaking lazy river, and you got all these giant herbivores that we know. I mean, it'd be like turning somebody loose and saying, "Here, ride this bicycle around with the big elephants, the African elephants."
Yeah.
Run you over and stomp on you because they get aggressive at times. Anywho, I thought that was stupid. Way too much freedom. It'd be one thing if that they were like partitioned off. There was some sort of like fence line that kept the dinosaurs behind it, and you rode through and you could see them along the fence. But these things were in the water with them, for crying out loud. No, just no.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of idiot thought this would ever be a realistic, plausible idea? A freaking child, an idiot.
Yeah.
That's another one. So then the hamster ball thing where you could control the ball and ride around with the herbivores in the plains. Cool idea, maybe plausible, but here's what I can see happening. Herbivore gets startled when you bump into it. Boom, just starts freaking whipping you everywhere, headbutting you. Then next thing you know, you got a big stampede of Triceratops running through or something crazy like that. You're freaking getting whipped all over the place. Can we talk whiplash? Can we talk concussion? Can we talk, I don't know, something bad? Lawsuit. And then the fact that they can't control the areas where they can go. Like, oh, this fence got broken open. I'm just going to wander through it. I mean, have a freaking, these things are like sophisticated computer protocol type things. A barrier where they do an auto return, huh?
See, and this is what would be answered with BD Wong or whatever. I don't know why he'd be in the security place, but if they're like, hey, you got to create some distractions if you want to try to get out of there, and he's like, I know the perfect thing. And he like turns off the tracking devices on those things so they can go wherever. They're starting to run into dinosaurs start smacking them. Like, everyone's trying to rush out there to get care of them and take care of them, and he gets away. And then that just all starts to spiral. It's like, perfect. You know, one other thing, Joe, I want to say about this movie is that it's all kind of like sunny. and a lot of daylight. There's some nighttime stuff too. I think they should kind of try to go for. There's a lot of tropical storms that happen. That was the kind of the premise of the first film. What if you make it like gray out all the time, and it's kind of rainy sometimes, and maybe they put like fog machines everywhere, like the actual park did, and it was for ambiance. So you do that river scene again, but you put your main characters on there, but it's like a safer boat, and they can't see anything. The fog machines are going like, "Hey guys, can we turn on the fog machines?" Like, I don't know, something's malfunctioning on there, or something. We got a problem, and so you just make it creepy. But it's like the park tried to make it creepy, but now it's a step creepier because some of the things have gone wrong. Because that's the cool thing about Jurassic Park. There's like a little bit of control there, and then it all goes away really quickly, and you're like, all right. So, yeah, I think that's just that could be cool, right?
Yeah. So if that would explain the ambiance thing, sure. Or just flat out, I mean, an ambiance enhancement might have been good. You know.
Yeah.
We've done the park thing. We've done the running from the dinosaurs and all that. Let's take it up a notch. Let's bring a greater sense of horror to this. You know.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, exactly. And let's just bolster that and enhance it. I think you know, talking about the ambiance right off the bat, it's a good path to lead down. I mean, if they could have created a more dark, ominous setting for this whole thing to happen, could have been a lot cooler. But like I said, let's kind of do away with this Indominus Rex thing, whatever, yada yada.
Yeah.
It gets a little too hoopla for me. And the whole Raptor military training bullshit. I'm over it. I'm over it.
Yeah.
It's just
right.
it's just too far fetched for me, and I just not into it. And even if I would be more okay with it if they were trying something like that, and the freaking Velociraptor just runs off into the woods.
Yeah, they for a second it gets it's just like, well, bye.
Seriously, I mean, maybe maybe they always advertise them or show them off in these films as they're just always eating. They want to kill everything. Yeah. Well, in all reality, were dinosaurs really like that? I mean, if they had just eaten something, are they going to look at something and be like, I got to kill that? No, they're probably just going to do their own thing unless they're hungry and they see you as prey. They might want to eat. So it's more of a eat thing, you know, instinct wise. So if they've been well fed and all that, what's their incentive to waste energy on killing you? In real world application, they would probably just trot off like, oh, I just ate a pig a bit ago, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just
one other thing quick there before you get away from the raptor thing. I think in all the dinosaurs, mostly just the carnivores, maybe if you're putting tracking devices in those, maybe you should make those tracking implants be something like Suicide Squad style, where you could blow them up at any time.
It was the Indominus Rex. I think they could. It was like electrified, or they could
zap it.
I think it could do some sort of. I think they talk about it in there. They're like, it's still got its tracker in there, right? And I think they could do a fail safe on it if they had to, but it had scratched it out by that point. They were still going to try and capture it alive.
The moment it breaks out, you hit that button. Like when it's going for the gate, you just.
Yeah, I'm not risking it. Like, stupid dinosaur.
And on the Velociraptors too, though. Like they had those little cameras on, but they didn't. Like when those things went out of control, everyone was like, and of course it's supposed to make a cool scene, kind of like from the Lost World, where they're getting attacked from all angles, and you're like, I don't know what to do, but it just seems so contrived, you know. It's just like, of course it's part of Velociraptor. It's like, why? But yeah.
Yep.
Also, I would love it if they would obscure the dinosaurs. Like I know that we know most of them now, but that was one thing I really love about that first movie, is that there's this sense of respect and this sense of restraint that Spielberg put into it, where you get like such small glimpses, or you get the name of a dinosaur, and then you think like, what's a Dilophosaurus look like? And then you don't think about it until you get to the Dilophosaurus scene, and you're like, holy crap. That's what it looks like. Wow, okay, that thing's not that cool. And then it does that thing, and you're like, oh my gosh, puts its fronds out or whatever. And you're like, whoa, T-Rex is the same way. Velociraptor, the very beginning, the shoot her scene. Why didn't they do an Indominus Rex scene like that? Just like a callback, and they're like, we tried to put in its cage. It kills the other one. It kills like the brother or the sister. Like that should have been your opening scene. They're like, it's out of it killed it. And they're like, I guess we just have one now. You know, like, that would be so good. Like, you're killing me, guys. Don't show your stupid eggs. Your CG eggs don't look good. All right? And don't give me this whole mom and dad are getting a divorce. The kids are having problems with it. I don't care. All right? really don't. There's a throwaway line in the first movie that John Hammond's daughter is like going through a divorce, and like that was kind of maybe the idea was to like kind of like take that idea and go with it. I don't care. I don't want that. Please don't give me that. I don't want it. It's like
Yep.
Also, you know,
I think we're on the same level here, Jimmy, and I appreciate you helping me through my revamping of Jurassic World.
No problem. Also, maybe just get a bunch of no-name actors if we're remaking this, Joe. That's one great thing about the first one. Spielberg he's like, we're going with a bunch of people no one's ever heard of before. Maybe Jeff Goldblum people knew, or Richard Attenborough, but like there were people like Sam Neill wasn't a huge star, you know, and it's like you could connect with him because you didn't know him.
Sure, maybe known but not well known by any means.
Yeah, you have Chris Pratt in there, and everyone's thinking either Andy from Parks and Rec or they're thinking Star-Lord. You're like, oh, Star-Lord's in this movie, and he's playing the same guy. Like, it's not any really different. It's like the same dude. You're like, okay.
See, the thing for me is that you almost don't really – it's not the actors and actresses in the film that are going to bring the people to the movie. It's the movie itself. It's the fact that it's part of the Jurassic Park universe. The fact that you have the word Jurassic involved in that title is an immediate moneymaker. I don't even think the actors or actresses were a factor, unless you're one of those real shallow, stupid people that's obsessed with stars.
Maybe. I think Chris Pratt's kind of a draw, though, to a lot of people. Not that he's bad. I don't think he's a bad guy. I would love it to be someone who isn't that at all, because I would be interested to see how well the box office, if I could see both movies, you know, and see how well they do. If they're like, Chris Pratt's in it, it's like this much. Chris Pratt's not in it, they lose $30 million or something. It's like,
yeah, I'd like to know what that effect is, you know, but I guess for me, he does nothing, but okay, you know.
But yeah, I don't know. I just think play that storm angle up even more. Make it a rainy day and people have to still enjoy the park. And they're like, man, it's really rainy. I can't really see the Mosasaurus out there. And you can kind of like see it kind of go underneath like the water is like the rain's dropping on the lake or whatever. And you're like, oh my gosh, like, what is that thing? Like, just you could really do some fun things, I think, with kind of subversion of expectation, especially that everyone who saw this movie, like a lot of them have seen Jurassic Park before. So take it to a different area, you know, and bring it, be like, oh, this is the way it used to go, but now it's not, you know, it's something different. But the terror aspect, not there. That first movie, for sure. That Ellie Sattler running from the Velociraptors, the kids in the kitchen, like the finale, like that whole bit's just like, like this finale's like, what is even happening? It's just like CG just smashing into each other and slamming into stuff. And you're like,
yeah. And what do you think about how they brought the kids back in as a factor?
Kids are fine. It just seemed like kind of weird and double down. I think the youngest kid was supposed to just be like Tim from the first one, and Tim was supposed to be annoying, but he had like an arc and he learned to like chill out afterwards. This kid doesn't really learn that, and then his older brother is just kind of like apathetic, more of like a commentary, I think, on the youth of today. It's okay, but I don't think they're gonna be in the sequel. Like I'm not sure if they are or not. I think it's just gonna be Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt, but.
And I'm interested to see some trailer material and some teasers for this movie, because I've already seen movie posters up at the movie theater in town.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've got one for, what's the title of it? I forget, but it's Jurassic
Fallen Kingdom, remember?
Yeah.
But remember, we're remaking it, so we can call it whatever we want, Joe. You can call it Jurassic Park, like, Upcoming Kingdom.
Part Quattro.
Jurassic Part Quattro.
It's simple. I don't want to make. Hey, we all do it from time to time, even when we're on air. Am I right?
Yeah. Well, you threw the chair down, so I had to throw something down myself. We're okay though.
No,
the naked juice is fine. Now we're
thank God. It's kind of a cheesy title.
Sure. Would you call yours just Jurassic Park 4?
I don't know. Jurassic World, Jurassic Land, Jurassic World.
I think you know what, to be honest, I'd rather just call it Jurassic Park 4, because to me, as if we're going to reboot this, if we're going to remake it starting from there, I just feel like that name carries with it. Even though 2 and 3 weren't as loved as the first one, I think you just go with that, and then people say like, hey, I haven't seen 2 or 3. I should probably watch those to be caught up. With Jurassic World, it's like, oh, is this kind of like a soft reboot? but it's not. It's a
Sure.
continuation.
But Jurassic World, I mean, I felt like that was probably a perfect title, and that it kind of separated itself from the first three in a way that it was kind of, it wasn't reinventing the wheel, but the park itself was being reinvented in a new light.
Sure.
It may be a more, besides the way they approach the rides and stuff, a more realistic light and how it could have been. So I'm fine with that. And it ties to the first three. I just, it's not there are no characters returning. It's not going, going back to the original park or anything like that. Jurassic World works fine for me. Some of the things I think they did right in the film that I would include in my remake, like when they're in that old, when they find the old Jeep in that building and stuff, the banner is in there, stuff like that. I like those little callbacks to the original. I think that's fun.
That's where you put all the people, Joe. All those people that were there on the island, like they're afraid and they had to get back to the port or whatever. You move them there, and you say like, "Oh, we have like a facility on the northern part of the island that should be abandoned," and I think it's like cleared out. And they're like, "Okay, we'll just put them there for now. Whatever. It's just like some sort of old. Just put them there. It's fine." And then you show up there, and you're like, "Holy crap!" And people like walking around, they're picking stuff up like they're doing, but it's like all those people who were terrified are in that building, and then you're like, "Oh, that's a reason to be here," as opposed to just.
One of the things I would have done is I would have built a safe house.
Yeah, that's right. They didn't. Yeah, they weren't ready. They weren't ready. It's like we have like how many people in the park that day? Like 20,000 or something. There's in the thousands. Yeah. I thought it's like you're totally right, Joe. Where do you? I mean, take a freaking note from Disney and build some like underground tunnels for goodness sakes. Yeah, flying dinosaurs, get underground.
Yeah, exactly. I would have something, a structurally sound building that is almost impenetrable by an animal. All the people and keeping them safe if protocols are missed and shit hits the fan.
Yeah, you just make it out of the same glass that those bubbles are made out of. That Jimmy Fallon is like, this glass is like the strongest glass. You can shoot it with like a magnum and you'll be totally fine. It's like, just make a huge half dome of that and just be like, boop. So, yeah. Fair enough. Well, Joe, those are some good remake ideas there. I would go on and on. We could talk about this for hours and hours, but I think we should probably wrap it up. Jurassic World, we go to remake. I want Ghost Rider. I think Suicide Squad as well, but that's okay. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we move on to the next segment of the show?
No, let's take another chunk out of this thing, Jimmy. Let's get after it.
All right. Well, the last thing before we get to that, Joe, is we have to take a moment to salute our commander, Jonathan Larson. Thank you so much. And as Jonathan, what are you gonna say, Joe?
I saw his caricature. Is that what we want to call it?
Yeah, it's his avatar.
Avatar.
It's going to be up on the screen, so hopefully people will see it and they'll be like, "Oh, that's cool." But as John likes to say,
Jonathan.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate it. Jonathan likes to say, "Their fate concerns me. Yours does not." That is Jonathan's battle cry. That's what he says under his breath as he's commanding his army to they're rushing past him and he's just looking at the enemy and they're all just getting dispatched. But thank you, Jonathan. Thank you to all of our patrons, but thank you mostly to Jonathan. Thank you for $100 a month. That's really appreciated. And if you want your name to be said on the show like that, all you have to do is donate $100 a month. Then we'll draw you a cool custom avatar. It's very cool. Anyway, Joe, it's time to move into the next segment of the show that I like to call, that you like to call,
Time Killers.
That's right. It's time for Time Killers. It's the games we've been playing, the TV shows we've been watching, the movies we've been viewing, the cookbooks we've been trying to discern while trying not to just drool all over the pages. Anyway, Joe, I'm going to start us off here. I've watched 2 movies. One good, one not so good. I want you to guess which one's the good one. I watched The Circle, starring Emma Watson and Tom Hanks, and I also watched the Lego Batman movie. Which one do you think was good?
The Lego Batman movie.
That's correct. The Circle was really boring. It has like a cool concept, but it's just so slow and boring. It's like, oh man, like probably don't watch it. It's like a 4 or 5 out of 10. I'm sorry, it's not great.
Everybody, including adults, especially adults, raves about the Lego Batman movies.
Yes,
I think they're great.
Joe, I will tell you, honestly, the first act was the funnest to me just because it's so nuts and it's hard to even understand what's going on. There's There's two moments, and these will be like baby spoilers, but there's like this one guy, like all the villains are going out doing all this stuff, and there's one guy leaving work, and like the security guard's like, "Hey man, have a nice night," and like the security guard looks at him, he's like, "Man," he's like, "I hope nothing bad ever happens to that guy." Cuts to the dude in his car, and he's like, "Nothing bad ever happens to me," and then like his car just like it's smashed or something really horrible happens to him in that moment. It's like a lot of quick, like little fun things like that, and then there's another moment where the mayor gets basically she has to meet with the Joker, and they have to decide like she's kind of surrendering the town, and she's like, "Hey Joker, do you like to gamble?" And he's like, "Oh, I love to gamble." And she's like, "Do you like to play roulette?" And he's like, "Well, yes, I like to play roulette sometimes." And she's like, "I've got a little tip for you." And he's like, "Oh, what's that?" And then it changes to the Batman voice. Batman rips a mask off, and he says, "Always bet on black." It's just like he's there. It's like he's a woman that turns into like he just rips this as like he's Bat. Like it's so good. It just you watch Batman beat up every villain. It's so much fun. It's very punchy in both ways, both fisticuffs and just the style of the story. Very vibrant. You don't have to be a Batman fan to really appreciate this film, but it's also great because they even make references to every other Batman. Like this Batman has been every Batman. Like he's Adam West Batman, but he's also the Dark Knight Rises Batman. Like he has different phases. Like Alfred's like, "I've seen you go through a lot of phases, sir," and they show like every one of those phases in quick succession. Like it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. So
I like that. That's cool.
Will Arnett does a great job as the voice of Batman, but yeah, really fun time. If you get a chance to watch it, everybody should watch it. It's really fun. It's better than the Lego Movie, I think. It's very good. I like it.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. So that's also what I've been killing time with for the most part. Also, you see my old N64 here? Got her all hooked up. We've been streaming a little bit. We're going to start streaming Zelda, the Ocarina of Time, over on Twitch here soon. So check it out. Stay tuned for that. It's going to be great. Yeah.
Wow. N64 Twitch stream. Cool.
Heck yeah, buddy. Oh, man, these games. Just jolly. I was playing Kirby today. I also had Pokemon Stadium. I was playing that. Oh, the games still look really good. Like, the animations are, like, for Pokemon Stadium are so good. Like, all the Pokemon come out. They have, like, a cool, like, special battle cry. And they all have, like, these different animations when they get hit or they do a move. And it's like, wow, this, like, they all look, there's so much love put in there. So,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, on my end of things, killing time. I haven't had much time. I hate to say it, but I finally got around to going to see Spider-Man: Homecoming. I understand why everybody raves about it. I really liked it. I'm not gonna rave about it, but I really liked it. Most of the things I really appreciated were the suit. A lot of it stemmed from the suit. I love the interaction between the suit. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Do you know who the voice of that is, Joe? Do we talk about this at all?
No, I can't recall.
Jennifer Connelly. She was Betty Ross in that first Hulk movie with Eric Bana or whatever. She was also in like Requiem for a Dream. She's married to Paul Bettany, who plays Jarvis and the Vision. I think so. It's funny. They're both like, it's like an AI family. But anyway, it's great. I love that part. She's like, cool. It's like, "This is your chance, Peter. Kiss her."
It was really good, but I also love like the computer effects of it. The fact that like he had this whole menu of onslaught of items to choose from, or abilities, I guess you could say, or modes. I thought that was really cool. And then a lot of people complain about it, but I love the suit at the end. I thought the Iron Spider suit was really cool, and I knew what was going to happen there, but it was fun. I think I prefer this Peter Parker. I think Tom Holland does a really good job. I like that there's humor and quips to it, but it's not too exhausted. It was just a well-rounded, well-done movie, and the Vulture was also really well done as a villain. I think when it comes to what's his name again? I'm bad with names. I'm starting to realize.
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton.
Yeah, he's great.
Second to none. It was really good. Yeah. And I won't lie, I did not see it coming that the girl that was going to be his daughter. I did not see that coming, so that was really cool. But yeah, overall, great movie. Loved it. I killed time with that. Other things I killed time with, nothing. I just had a chill weekend, kind of picnic day with the fiance's fam, and yeah, so
cool,
busy.
Cool.
So yeah,
cool. Well, now Joe, it's time to get into community my favorite segment, community feedback and questions. There we go. Community creative.
Community cleave back.
No. Anyway, first off, Joe, we asked that question to everybody. We said, like, how many people have actually watched every episode? Now, Fragan said he started watching, like, when you started showing up on the show, and I was like, I feel like that's the beginning, or it was some sort of joke. But our friend Ryan, he said he's watched every single episode. And Ryan, thank you, man. We appreciate that.
Overachiever.
Both of them happen to be patrons, which I also appreciate. Thank you guys. You guys are great.
Ryan with the last name L?
Yes.
Ryan L? Really?
He's got our first question of the week, Joe. Cool. He asked us.
I inadvertently sent him a Facebook message the other day. It was like a funny meme from The Walking Dead, and I meant to send it just to my sister. Somehow I selected multiple names. I had to tell all these people, sorry for the random message. I didn't mean to click your name. They're like, it's all right. It was funny anyway.
Just like, click it. He's like, I just got to send it to one person. I'll send it to that. Just one. It's like, click. Everyone's getting it.
All my fingers just hit a bunch of buttons.
Yeah. Man, whose hand is this? How does this work? Anyway, our first question comes in from him this week. Do you think Microsoft will join the VR platform? And if so, how do you think they would do it? Joe, I'm going to make this real brief. I think if they do, I don't know. I just don't think, I think it's a little too late to the game. Also, they did the Kinect thing. I think they'd be hesitant to jump into VR. Sony's doing it right now. And I just don't think they would try it. Do you think, Microsoft would be like, hey, we should do some virtual reality stuff? I just think it's a gamble. And I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it probably. So, Joe, what do you think about that? Like Microsoft trying to get a VR platform. Do you think they would actually try to jump into virtual reality? Or do you think that after, like I said, with the Kinect, do you think they would say like, we're not going to try to do VR. We're just happy with Xbox One X and all that?
Yeah, well, here's the thing, Jimmy. We don't know. Perhaps they've been working on it since the VR started to come out, and maybe they're just taking their time to perfect it. Maybe they're doing some variation on it that's going to be kind of game-changing, so to speak. So, I don't know. I mean, it's a market that they're not dabbling in, and therefore they're not garnering any profit from it where they probably could. So it wouldn't surprise me if they did come out with something, but maybe they're just taking their sweet time and really doing the R&D to make it a really good, well thought out product. So
maybe. I know they did a thing a few years ago called HoloLens. I don't know if they kind of stopped that, but it was basically like you put on these glasses and then you could kind of like see things like on a table that weren't there, and you could be like, it was like Minecraft or something they showed off. So it's an interesting concept, but it seems like a lot of money and a lot of time, and if they haven't already dedicated anything to it, I just don't think they do it at this point. So, and that kind of ties into our question here from Night Warrior 29. He said, do you think it will be at all possible sometime in the near distant future to watch movies and TV series in VR mode? I think there are some you can kind of do that with, like some maybe like Planet Earth things or something, but I wouldn't be completely surprised to see that in the future. But I don't know, Joe, if there's any movies or TV shows you'd want to actually watch in VR.
Well, yeah, I think it would be really cool. I mean, there already are videos that you can watch in VR. This whole Samsung headset thing that you can do. You put the headphones in and the phone projects. The video is done a certain way so that the glasses or the headset, makes it feel like you're really there. I did one with my friends one time. It was like a horror one where you just see like flickers of light and you're like tied to a chair when you look down, and you hear noises and stuff, and then you hear somebody like whispering in your ear. Then you hear like something like a I forget what it was. There was some tool or something that he like runs up the wall. I mean, it's scary. And then you see flickers of light, and you kind of capture a glimpse of him walking away, kind of like Texas Chainsaw style. And then all of a sudden at the end, it like flickers and he's like coming at you. Some people fell off their chair. Yeah, man. It's crazy. In and that is your sight. You really lose yourself. And yeah, so there's things like that. And not to take it rated R, but I know that there's adult entertainment in that form too. So
yeah,
not speaking for personal experience. Everybody shut up. I don't want to see a comment about it, but yeah, so it's out there now, and I can only see that growing. I think that there is probably I think that could be in the foreseeable future.
For sure. Last question comes in from our good buddy Simon. Lots of other stuff. What is your favorite thing about space? Hashtag Critical Podcast. Simon, the first thing I thought about when I saw this was just this: the vastness, just almost infinite. Like I can't comprehend it. I know it's not infinite, but basically it is. But it isn't. It is. I don't. It's great, and there's always different worlds. So many cool different worlds, different planets. Space is great. Joe, what's your favorite thing about space?
My favorite thing about space, I don't know if there's a favorite thing. I think the beauty of it. The beauty of it.
There you go.
know, and more so looking at it from Earth. I think it's really cool to look up. I mean, you get a crystal clear night, calm, cool, and you can look up and stare at the stars. It's mesmerizing. It absolutely is mesmerizing. The fact that your brain can't comprehend what it is and the fact that it never ends, comprehend infinity. Something that never ends, we cannot comprehend, which is just, I mean, it makes your brain start to bleed out your ears. That's the kind of, that's what it is. It's just unreal to me. So I just try to appreciate it from where I see it,
Yeah, no, definitely. I also like to think when you talk about watching it at night, it's like seeing science plus history together because you're seeing light coming from potentially thousands and thousands of light years away. And then you're like, I'm looking at the past. Yeah. It's like, it's crazy. It's like, it's nuts. Anyway, if you guys have a question for the show, all you have to do is tweet the hashtag Critical Podcast to either one of us. You can find me at the official Twitter of Critical Reviews, which is at Go Critical, or you can find me at my personal one, which is just at JimmyGood013. Or you can find Joe at
Lever_627. That's Lever just like Beaver, only with an L.
Excellent. I don't know if you gotta watch one of these, Joe, so you can see where the graphic is. Anyway,
I've watched them. I'm just trying to get you to put it in there.
Anyway, if you guys want to see, we were talking about this earlier, we're streaming and stuff. We are over on Twitch a couple times a week. Just keep it locked on Twitter to see when we're doing that. So if you want to see our beautiful faces, mostly mine over there, you can do that there. I want to thank a few people.
You got that twinkle in your eye.
I do. I want to thank This Is Dayla for our beautiful theme music, our intro, outro music. And I want to thank Joran Evers, our resident artist, who is just incredible. If you want to help support us and get some art from him at the same time, all you have to do is go check out patreon.com/critical reviews. You can throw us $1 or $2 a month, and you can get a cool avatar, your face, and all this like cool weapon stuff. It's really interesting, really cool. It really helps support the show. If you want, to support us and to make us be better, get better quality, better quality cameras, better lighting, better mics, better headphones, better everything, just consider throwing in $1. If you're at $1, consider making it $2. Every little bit helps, and sharing it around really helps too. So I implore you to consider that. But just thanks for listening. We really do appreciate it. We love having you here. So until the very next episode, which will be next week, all I have to say is just remember to adapt and overcome. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.